said, I've either founded or run multiple $100 million companies, and eating poorly, staying out late, stress, I just thought that was part of the territory.
I'm stressing out. I'm spending too much time on the computer. I'm eating poorly. My health is suffering. And I think that somehow that comes with the territory. Don't have your health, you have nothing, and you spend every dollar you have to get it back. All right, Groove community, super excited about this Groove Growth program because it applies to every Groovester in the community, because all of us are business owners or in the process of becoming business owners. Very, very pleased to welcome my great friend and personal mentor, longtime CEO, very successful business person, Mike Sparkman. Mike, welcome to Groove Growth. Excited to have you back.
Hi, Ridgely. It's great to be back and talking about our favorite subject, health and fitness.
Health and fitness, exactly right, because you gotta be healthy to be successful. And if you don't have your health, you have nothing, and you spend every dollar you have to get it back. So
exactly.
I thought we just kick this off. So first of all, I really want to encourage everybody. There's an amazing gift. Hit the button below, free program on how to, get this, build your body like a business. Let me repeat that. Build your body like a business. Every Groovester is in business for themselves. So imagine that you could use what you know and what you're going to learn to build your body like a business. We're going to talk a lot about this during this time together that we have, but I definitely want to encourage people, whether you're able to stay for the entire program or not, hit that button below and go get the free program from Mike that we'll be describing as we go along. But I want to just take it back a little bit to your story, Mike, because you've run multiple $100 million companies. You've built some giant enterprises, thousands of employees all over the world. And yet there came a day when all that meant almost nothing because your health was a disaster. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'd love to, Ridgely, and it's so true. Like you said, I've either founded or run multiple $100 million companies in over 35 years. And schedules, hecticness, traveling, eating poorly, staying out late, stress, I just thought that was part of the territory, and it really was. But there came a point where I realized that if I didn't do something for myself regarding my health, getting older, it was not going to be easy to make these changes. And so
let me interrupt you. Sorry for a second, because I just want people to anchor this down. Even though you ran multiple $100 million companies, very large enterprises, everybody that's in the Groove community, if you can relate to, I'm stressing out, I'm spending too much time on the computer, I'm eating poorly, my health is suffering, and I think that somehow that comes with the territory. Those were the words you used, Mike. It comes with the territory. I just want to get the Groovesters to anchor that down, because there is a better way, and it doesn't have to come with the territory, even though that's would you say that's a common belief in business, Mike?
Absolutely. And the other thing I really believe is that health becomes very low. Health and fitness becomes very low on the to-do list. Juggling work, juggling family, juggling everything. It just doesn't take priority, which, as we'll talk about, it needs to. And when it does, and when you start to make these changes, it really does improve your energy, your clarity, your business focus, your ability to be successful, everything. So everything that we're going to talk about is about why being healthy and fit is vital to everything. It's the most important thing in my life.
Especially if you're building a business on Groove, where there's a lot to learn, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of things that you could stress out about, over worry about, spend too much time on, and as a result, ignore your health, ignore your wellness, so to speak. Right. So what happened to you? You found yourself in this position. You look at yourself in the mirror and you go, oh my gosh, I don't look too good. I'm overweight. I'm stressed out. I got bags under my eyes, the whole deal. And what did you do in that moment besides go, oh my gosh?
Yeah. Well, fortunately, I saw there was a big problem. I think a lot of people just keep going and just run themselves into the ground, literally. But my macro basics were I was over 30 pounds overweight. I was on multiple prescriptions, all the standard stuff, cholesterol, blood pressure, some other stuff that this was not good. I had low energy. I was just struggling. And these things made me realize that if I didn't change, I wasn't going to be good for my business. I wasn't going to be good for my family. And certainly, if I didn't do something soon, my health was going to continue to decline, which we'll talk about today in some of the information we're discussing. So it literally was like the wake-up call.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so you said, okay, I'm going to sign up to the gym. I'm going to get on the latest diet on TV. I'm going to lose a bunch of weight and I'm going to become muscle man, right?
That was the intention. Didn't happen that way. And and that's a great point because yeah, it's like, okay, I'm going to start something. And so there's all the potential diets on TV, off the shelf things, different exercise programs, eating food that they deliver to you. But what I realized was still traveling 150,000 miles a year, or like a lot of people on the podcast today, working 8, 10, 12-hour days, not taking the right amount of breaks. It just didn't work for me. So I had to think of an alternative because at this point, just like any business person, when you're focused on something, it's like laser sharp. You're going to get it done. You're going to figure it out because it was important. And I really started obsessing on, I have to get healthy. I used, skiing, track, baseball, everything growing up that I just really couldn't do anymore. So I wanted to get back to all that.
And so basically what you're saying is the traditional methods didn't work, or at least they didn't work for you. You were like, you tried these I presume you tried a few of these diets and fads and figured whatever, right?
Yeah, I tried several, and I would lose a few pounds here and there, but it wasn't a sustainable lifestyle change. I knew this was, all these things just take a little bit of time. And I think, the numbers prove out that people that start these programs drop off and then they regain what they lost plus some. that's unfortunate.
I remember when I heard that January 19th is Quitter's Day, right? That all those people that started with a New Year's resolution, the majority, like 800 million people worldwide, quit on January 19th, meaning that it's obviously not sustainable. So what happened next? Obviously, if you're a business guy and you're focused on something and what you're trying isn't working, then what?
So those things weren't working, as we said, but then I thought, hey, I'm a business guy. I've done all these things. And I stepped back and I thought, what if I used business processes, systems, and tools that I already know and align those with getting healthy and fit? And so that really began my journey. And I didn't have it all figured out. I kind of, to map something out, you've got to have a little bit of better feel of how to do all these things. But over time, I started to lose the weight. I started to feel better. And I started to get off those meds, started to really figure out, hey, this is working. And so as we'll go into, build your body like a business is just that, using tools, processes, and business principles people use every day to get healthy and fit. And it starts off with, setting strategic goals, aligning those goals with realistic expectations around a 6 or 12-month period. But then again, using other business tools, SWOT analysis, action plans, balance sheets, which are really more about your assets and liabilities. I started to put all these things together. And then as I started to lay out the whole program, I saw it as a business roadmap, as a business strategy, as a business plan to get where I wanted to go. So that was, say, 7 years ago when things were just not great. Fast forward to now, I lost those 30 pounds. I'm off all those drugs. I'm the happiest, healthiest, fittest I've ever been now in my 60s. And
Yeah.
so that was the moment that I thought this could never happen. My body fat is 11%. My
Hmm.
telomere age is 46. And
Hmm.
so I attribute all these things to the systems and tools I developed.
Hmm.
And now, as you know, wanting to help people, I'm at the point in my life that I literally, as I started to lose that weight, get fitter, get more lean muscle mass, your lens changes. You start to see how many other overweight people there are in the world, how
Hmm.
unhealthy people are. And it's like, I just want to help people. And guess what? I want to help business people because
Hmm.
I get them. My story is their story.
Yeah, 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 for sure. And I just want to say, before we jump into how big the problem is, which is where I think we should go next, to
Yeah.
really let people know what the situation is, because this is no joke. This is really, really
Mm.
serious. And if you have a long vision for a healthy and exciting future for yourself, it has to include your health. No matter what, that has to be a part of it. I don't care how
Yeah,
successful you are business wise. If you don't have your health, you really don't have the ability to enjoy whatever success you may have. So,
absolutely.
but I just want to say what happened to me. I'm just going to jump in really quick. I'm going to keep it short. But what
Right.
happened to me is, Mike, we've known each other a long time. We've been in business before and some other ventures and such. And I woke up because you changed. I woke up and said, Mike Sparkman, what the heck have you done, bro? All of a sudden, no wide jowly face, trim, slim, looking great. I'm going, what the heck? And then you began to explain to me what you'd done with Build Your Body Like a Business. And that's why I first became your student for a year and a half. And
Yeah.
then we decided to put together this program for the world because it made a huge difference to me. I was at 197, man. I was just under 200 pounds. That's like ridiculous. And because of all of these principles, I'm now hanging at 182 and determined to get to 178. And that's thanks to you and all the principles and Build Your Body Like a Business. So that's my story, real quick. So this is why do I get passionate about this? Because of how much better I feel as a result of working with you. But let's
Right.
stop for a second and take a step back, because you have some information that you want to share with the world. You've done a lot of research on this topic, and I want to bring up some slides for us to talk about this situation to hopefully act as a bit of a wake-up call for people, because this is not a joke at all. It is super serious, and we're facing what you call the slow plague. So tell me a little bit about what do you mean by the slow plague, and then let's go from there.
Yeah. So what I thought I would do today, along with talking about Build Your Body Like a Business, is really lay it out in terms of what's happening in America, what's happening in the world from a health and fitness standpoint. It greatly concerns me. It's happening as we speak. And I call it the slow plague because it's happening slowly, but it's happening regularly. It's like trying to stop an erupting volcano from the lava flowing downhill. You can't stop it. And
Mm-hmm.
so instead of getting into tactics and fact and things about what we can really do, I wanted to really use this as that wake up call,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm that guy who researches, analyzes, and applies. I step back, I research, I analyze, apply. This kind of information, uh, I think I just want to share it with everybody and maybe open eyes, because
Yeah.
the facts are incredibly telling. So I'll just get into it. Right
Mm.
now, 43% of Americans are obese.
That's amazing.
It's how did it happen? Right? We'll get into that. 2 out of 3 people are overweight. This all starts to align into chronic disease, but I did the research, and chronic disease has increased 700% since 1935. That's still a long
Scary.
time ago. It's over 80 years. But back then, people were eating real food. People weren't eating out of boxes and bags.
Mm-hmm.
This is the real scary thing. 133 million Americans have a chronic disease. And these
Mm-hmm.
are nothing to shrug off. They don't go away, they don't fix themselves. Um, 1 in 4 Americans have multiple chronic diseases. This is really scary. if you
Mhm.
have high blood pressure along with high cholesterol, or, you know, 2 or 3 chronic diseases.
Mhm.
And people say, well, I'll just take a pill. It's not the
Mhm.
answer. Chronic disease is responsible for 7 out of 10 deaths in America. It doesn't have to be like that. It's
Mhm.
so again, I don't want to be Dr. Gloom here today, but
Mhm.
these are things that get swept under the rug
Mhm.
and people don't know about. So
Yeah,
I really
and I don't think there's anybody who wouldn't say to themselves, "I wish I took less medications." I mean, nobody's saying, "Man, I wish I had some more meds. I wish I took more prescriptions. I wish I
yeah,
had
give me
more pill
more.
boxes on my shelf." I don't think
Right?
so, right?
Yeah,
And yet there's
never.
almost no way around it because it's so rampant.
It's wildfire.
hmm And so, I mean, let's go a little further on this. The money is insane.
Yeah, this is very telling, and I'll just tell you, these are not. I really do in-depth research to go through. These are a lot of government figures. $3.2 trillion on
hmm
healthcare. 86% of that is for treating chronic disease. The U.S. spends more on healthcare than many other first world countries combined. Yet we're more sick than them. We're more
hmm
sick.
hmm
Again, there's reasons. The research shows the trajectory gets worse. In just 8 short years, it shows 50% of Americans will be obese. I mean, how?
It's
And
amazing. It's just mind-boggling, actually. And the next point we said, where does it stop and turn around? It doesn't, is
doesn't,
really scary. It's like, what? Come on,
and
man. And
it's not just adults, it's kids, it's everything, it's everyone, it's not from an economic ability standpoint. It's everywhere. It's across
Mhm.
the whole spectrum.
Yeah, that
So
last point to me was the one that when I first saw the presentations, because you shared it with me, I was like, wait a second, how can we be smoking less, exercising more, allegedly eating healthier? I'm not so sure than in previous decades, and yet we're getting worse and worse. I mean, how does that even? How can that even be?
yeah, I think, there's been so many amazing medical advancements in acute
Mhm.
disease, surgeries, devices that are really allowing for higher quality of life. But
Mhm.
because of the food we eat and how we eat it and how much we eat and what's in the food, um, it's a it's a race or a battle that you can't win. And that's why the numbers are so staggering that we talked about, even though the incidence of smoking, alcohol, other better food, people being more aware, but it's not working, as we
Yeah,
see.
and you have a whole thing here on how did this happen.
Yeah,
Let's go through this
yeah,
because this is kind of like,
yeah.
wow.
Thank you. Yeah. As you know, I'm an 80/20 guy. I look at really how to simplify everything and distill it down and look at really what's causing anything to happen. The simple answer is poor diet and nutrition, but it goes so much deeper. So this is where it really gets interesting. And again, I hope this is interesting to people. I hope they're seeing that it's not their fault. And I'll get into that too. Processed foods now make up 70% of an American diet. It's
That's
in a box, it's
amazing.
in a bag, it's in a fast food, it's in a can. It's not real food. Most
Mhm.
Americans eat fast food 2 to 3 times per week. You do it, you go by Starbucks, the lines around the block. You go by a McDonald's driving around and the lines out the driveway. It's convenience. Our diets are driven by convenience because we're busy, we're running around. You got to take the kids to soccer, you got this meeting, you got to have lunch, you got to eat. Well, and we'll save that whole discussion for, you don't really have to eat that much, for later, which is called fasting.
Mhm.
But what has snuck up on all of this is sugar is virtually in every box, package, or bag of food. It's factory food. It's not real food. Nothing is real. And then they
Mhm.
put labels on, like fortified with vitamin C and D. It's like, oh, I'll have that for breakfast. Uh,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
so this is really crazy, Ridgely. The average American consumes 152 pounds of sugar per year. And you can see it if you're drinking soda, if you're eating processed food, if you're, whatever you're doing, that's almost a half a pound a day. And
That's
then 100,
insane. That's like mind-boggling. It's like, what?
isn't it?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, and it's like, and I hope people, I really hope a lot of people are saying, well, I don't eat that much, but then you have to step back and really look at what you're eating. And
Mhm.
then some people I hope are saying, I do that and I do that. And wow, I maybe don't want to do that.
Mhm.
So again, a couple more stats, facts. I love stats and facts, by the way, you know that, but
Oh,
we basically eat 250 more calories per day than we need. Doesn't sound like a lot. Look at what it looks like after a year, 91,000 calories.
yeah.
Right? And then if we're gaining more weight, that means we're not burning those calories because we're
Mhm.
losing muscle and fat is taking over. And we'll get into
Mhm.
that too. So again, the consumption of food is 2,000 pounds of food a year, and the 5 pounds a
I mean,
day.
that's insane. I mean, these numbers, I'm sorry. I just had to stop for a second to make sure that as groupsters, we're all paying attention here. By the way, I hate to tell you this, but this is most of us, okay? This is most of us who are not paying attention, who have not made the change, who have not decided that this is important. And I know many people, we may be as Groove community, we may be more aware than other communities out there, but we're not aware enough. We're not doing enough to fight this. These numbers are absolutely super crazy. They're like, really, man? Half a pound of sugar a day on average, almost. I mean, a little bit less. I don't want to exaggerate.
Yeah,
But
and
that's
that,
crazy.
yes, sir. Well, and
But
the other thing to think about is, people that are on the call that are healthy, think about their friends, think about their families, think about other people around them that they're going, yep, they're eating that fast food. Yep, they're eating out of that box. Yep, they're not getting up off the sofa or their chair at their desk and taking a walk. And it's like, yep. And so all these, it's literally a compound, things compound to the point where we'll get into in terms of then what happens to your body.
yeah, and I want to talk about one thing that really, really important, because there is a little bit of part of the reason why this is happening is not because people aren't good people. It's not because people don't want to do the right thing, but you talk a lot about who is causing this slow plague. So let's jump into that for a second, because
Yeah.
I really want to hopefully remove the guilt factor from people's mind and have them focus on what can you do to enjoy a better, healthier life, not worry about beating yourself up. So let's talk about this who.
Thank you. And that's a great point, because my first point is this is not your fault. I mean, this is kind of weaved into the fabric of our whole society in everything we do. I mean, food is at the center of everything. Everything we do is about food. We got to eat, we got to, go out with friends. It's all about food. But this is about big pharma and big food have made us sick and I'll say fat, overweight, whatever you want to call it. You can't get away from the gravitational pull of these things in our lives, because if you watch the evening news, the commercials are all big pharma. $5 billion just on advertising. Fast food, McDonald's, I mean, not calling them out, 5 billion in that whole space. So we are being bombarded constantly, and messages stick. Our kids are wanting Happy Meals. We're saying, if I went to the doctor and they prescribed something, it's like, well, I guess I don't have to eat better or exercise. And again, that's part of the problem. So here's where it gets interesting. We all hear about the standard American diet, and unfortunately that acronym stands for SAD. But
Yeah, sad. Yeah, you're right.
But this is all based on USGA guidelines that contribute to a lot of the problem. If you look at that food pyramid, and I'll just say my PowerPoint skills aren't that great, but one time in a meeting when I was presenting in a new deal, this guy on the board said, your PowerPoint isn't very good. I was like, I know it's not very good, but I can get you to $100 million. So let's go forward here.
What's more important, my PowerPoint or your $100 million? Okay, right. Cool. Keep our priorities in place. Mike, you know what? maybe the PowerPoint skills aren't that great, but the information is super important, right? And that's the point here. We're trying to convey information to Groovesters so that we can live a better life.
Exactly. Thank you. But in that food pyramid, the base of that pyramid, it's all carbohydrates. It's all pastas, grains, other things that ultimately are simple carbs. But what happens in our bodies with carbohydrates? Everything carb-based, eventually, whether very quickly or very slowly, converts to glucose, which is sugar. So there's you hear glucose, you hear these things. So over 60% of their daily recommendation is these simple carbs. No wonder we can't get ahead of the game. People are saying, well, I'm doing what they're saying I'm supposed to do, but darn, I just can't feel any better or lose any weight. I just keep gaining weight. So the other thing too on sugar, because I'm really on this sugar thing, and this is really tricky. If you look at a nutrition label on any box, anything, sugar is the only one without the daily value percentage. You know, you look at protein, it's 20%, or fat, it's 20%, or whatever. There is nothing on sugar. Guess what? The sugar and food industries have powerful influence on everything. Big lobbying, big everything without a lot of oversight. So my reference here is think about big tobacco in the 60s. Oh, you know, you had doctors promoting cigarette brands and everything. Now look at what happens and what we know about cigarettes. So this is something for really everybody to think about. Sugar lights up your brain. Sugar, you become addicted to sugar. And the other thing I just popped in my mind, because of this kind of diet, people that are overweight, this is going to sound crazy, are malnourished. They're not getting the right nutrition, and their bodies are always hungry. So it's like, I got to eat more. I got to eat more. So it's this destructive cycle that's happening. Think about that. Overweight people are malnourished. You'd think, well, that guy's eating way too much, but not of the right thing.
Yeah, and you know, it is super crazy too. And I just want to jump in with a quick sidebar aside, because we have a little bit of time, and that is, you know, you got me into intermittent fasting, which, but hey, I learned the information from you. I learned we don't have to eat this much. In fact, you'll feel a lot better if you eat a lot less. And you got me into intermittent fasting. And we happen to be filming this on a Thursday. You and I both fast all day on Thursday. But what I learned is you can actually trick your own body. I learned this from you, right? Like my fast actually started yesterday on Wednesday in the pre-fast day. And on pre-fast day, I just eliminated all simple carbohydrates. So my body was still getting food, signaling to the brain, you're not starving, you're okay. But by not having any simple carbohydrates, by the time I roll around to Thursday, my body is not craving those carbohydrates because, like you said, big pharma, big agra has basically got us addicted to these things. So we feel like, I got to have it, got to have it, got to have it. And for all the people that are out there watching, yes, it may seem a little extreme that I fast all day Thursday. I basically stop eating Wednesday night, don't eat again until Friday lunch. But I'm telling you, as I'm on this growth program right now, I'm not even hungry. My body is naturally burning the fat, which is the glucose that is stored from having had too much in the past, and it's going away, and I feel phenomenal. So not only is it possible to change your situation, it's possible to feel younger, stronger, better as you age if you do the right things. That, by the way, is a reminder to go hit that button below here and make sure you get Mike's program. But I just want to say thanks, man, because it's kind of funny. We're shooting this on a Thursday. We're both fasting on a Thursday. I got my companions coffee and water, and that's it. And then a little later, we'll have some more fluids, and I'll enjoy the day and wake up tomorrow morning feeling amazing.
Right. I'm the same as, you know, we do the same schedule to partner together. My wife and I do it. A bunch of other people do it. And I won't go down that rabbit hole of fasting, but the health benefits, certainly there's a weight management aspect to it. The health benefits of fasting are unreal. And I'll just say fasting properly is probably one of the biggest longevity tools in our
Mhm.
tool bag today, to live longer, to live younger longer, and to live a lot longer without these diseases we're talking about.
Yeah, I know you sent me a podcast by the head of the Cleveland Clinic. And the Cleveland Clinic, by the way, for those who don't know, is the #1 functional medicine institution on planet Earth. It is the place that the super wealthy go. It is the place that anybody that wants to be the healthiest you can be without the traditional doctor's approach, without the medical route, so to speak. So functional medicine, medicine that works with your body, that functions with you. The head of that was Mark Hyman. And Mark Hyman, Dr. Mark Hyman, who is a doctor as well, is saying that if you do this, if you take care of yourself properly, that 100 will become the new 70. And, we're both in our 60s, Mike, and I'm like, hey, I'm good to go to 100, especially the way I feel right now. Super sharp, super whatever. It's amazing. Now, let's go a little bit further into I don't want to get overly, down the negative rabbit hole, but I do think it's important that people understand the information. So talk a little bit about how all this, as it says here, manifests into chronic disease.
Right. And on the other point about living to 100, I'm training for the Centenarian Olympics as we speak. So,
I like that.
So again, I'm not trying to be negative here. I'm just trying to bring this information out, and because it's if you're informed and educated, you can make decisions and choices based on that.
Mm-hmm.
So our bodies are truly remarkable, truly incredible machines and systems. Whatever we're doing to our bodies every day, there are millions of functions in there wiring around everything and trying to just survive. I mean, think of anybody that, in my case, I was 30 pounds overweight. Think of the burden that was putting on everything, my joints, my heart, my everything. But somehow we just keep going. And so our bodies are amazing. They're even more amazing at their optimal level. The human body is one of the most beautiful things ever. But when we bombard our bodies repeatedly for years with all these things we've talked about, with unnatural food or no physical activities, our bodies do begin to break down. I mean, there's only so much it can do before these things start to manifest. So as we talked about, our bodies are primarily fueled with glucose, or that drives our blood sugar. Because of all the sugar we're eating and drinking every day, think of it, every time you eat a piece of bread, your blood sugar spikes for a period of time. And it's a simple carb, so it goes right into your bloodstream, not a complex carb like a vegetable, which is a slower release, which lowers the spike. But if we're doing this multiple times per day, and then what your body's trying to do is equalize this blood sugar, this glucose, so insulin is released to balance it back out. But when we spike it over and over and over again, this allows glucose, because it doesn't know what to do. It's like, I'm just going to store all this glucose as fat. And so this starts to lead to insulin resistance, which leads to type 2 diabetes. So, and this in itself drives so many other chronic diseases, and we'll get into that. But the overarching problem in all of these are inflammation and metabolic syndrome. And so inflammation, like if you get a cut or something, your body's trying to heal, and it's a good thing. But when you're doing all these bad things to your body repeatedly, inflammation is ultimately what people fire from, ultimately.
And when you talk about inflammation, I mean, this is where we get into, as the slide says here, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, the fat, the high cholesterol, et cetera. But talk to me about this next point here, that it's this chronic inflammation state when your body's on high alert. What does that mean? What kind of stress or strain does that put on the system?
Yeah, because of all these diet factors, you're creating inflammation in every system, every body part, every aspect of your body. So it's almost like, think of it like this: your body is trying to respond to a 5 alarm fire 24 hours a day. And it literally is on fire. Your body's on fire. And when it stays in this state, it's releasing cortisol. It's releasing all these really bad things that are doing a lot of damage to your body. Inflammation, people talk about high cholesterol and leading to heart disease and everything. Chronic inflammation is really, along with some other factors, more specific and higher risk of atherosclerosis, because your body's so stressed all the time. Think of your blood vessels on fire 24/7. And this is, again, happening for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden, you can't get out of your chair. Literally.
And the reverse also applies, right? If you take care of yourself and you increase your muscle mass, as it says right here, you're boosting even your metabolism while you're resting, which means you're burning up more of those calories, more of that glucose, more of whatever.
Yes. Muscle, along with all these other things we've talked about, muscle atrophy is a huge problem. And muscle atrophy is a huge longevity problem. Because once you get to a certain point, it's really hard to get it back. It's almost impossible. But if you just think about how, we know muscle weighs a lot more than fat, but when you increase your muscle mass, you're boosting your resting metabolism, which burns more calories. So, and as I said here, muscle burns more than 3 times more calories than fat. 3 times. I mean, that's a lot. So even if you're still overweight and trying to get there, if you're just lifting a little bit of weight, not a lot, this isn't going to the gym for an hour and walking around all pumped up. This is doing some things at home, doing some simple things at home. But muscle is truly the currency of aging. And I've seen it happen in my family. I saw it happen with my father. My father, big strapping guy, then on 14 prescriptions, then lost all his muscle mass. And it's very sad. But if you can maintain your muscle throughout your aging, it creates stability. Think about stability as you get older for falling. Overall strength, aerobic performance, and anaerobic performance. I do probably 30 or 40 minutes of anaerobic training every week at as you know, at Red Rocks, which I sprint as fast as I can as an old guy for a minute. And then I rest. And those kinds of factors really create all these other good things happening in our bodies. But I really hope people are just looking at this, listening to us, and saying, "I get it," and I'm ready to make some changes.
Yeah. And again, I just want to remind everybody, make sure you take advantage of Mike's generosity, hit the button below, go find out about Build Your Body Like a Business, get that program for free. You might consider some of the other alternatives there as well. But I want to talk about one thing. I mean, before we get to the remedies, let's just talk about one other aspect of this, which is, what is the medical establishment doing about all of this stuff?
Yeah, this is interesting. So as I said earlier, there have been incredible advancements in modern medicine, where people are living higher quality lives. People are living just based on surgeries and technology. But for the things we're talking about specifically for chronic disease, I call this disease management and symptom suppression. Because you go to the doc, and, I go for tests and things like that, routine tests and panels and things, but I haven't had to go to the doctor for anything like for 7 years, being sick or anything. But what I do remember even then was they spend about 3 minutes with you, and they look at some blood work, they'll talk to you and be like, "Oh, you need this." And you're like, "Oh, good, great. I hope I feel better." There's virtually no root cause understanding or diagnosis. It's just treating that one thing. And that one thing is tied to multiple other things. It may not, it's probably not the root cause of why you have high cholesterol or pre-diabetic or high blood pressure or whatever that is. But this is really interesting. And as I've gotten more knowledgeable about things, nutrition and diet and exercise, medical doctors really don't have much or any nutritional training in med school. And what I found, and I'm very respectful to the profession, these are amazing people, is if they don't know something about what you're talking about, they're not going to agree with you, and they're going to go to um, their playbook, which is to prescribe you a medication. And again, I'm not knocking that at all. But, and the other thing is, like, my niece's husband, he's a super fit guy. He used to be a pro snowboarder. He had a little scare with blood pressure a couple years ago, and his doctor said, "You're going to be on this forever." He was 37, and he basically was like, "I guess so." And I talk to him all the time about doing things, and he's like, I'm so afraid to get off of that blood pressure stuff, man, because I don't want to, get sick or have a problem. But again, that's just an example. But to that point, we're on these medications mostly for our whole life. They just won't let you get off unless you take action and really have a plan with your doctor. But what this is leading to, and again, these are real numbers with these percentages, even if you look at, the 43% with the chronic disease, you could say 43% of people are living longer, but spend the last 16 or more years of their life with 2 or more of these diseases. And there's no quality of life. You're giving your money to big pharma. You're in and out of hospitals. You're getting tested. And for business people, I'll just say, back to business, we're working our tails off. We want to be successful. We have a passion for this. And if at the end of the day, our lives are really in reverse. We should be free and easy when we're 70 and 80 and start to work harder when we're in our 20s. But that's just not how it is. But if you have all these things that you want to accomplish, and when you wake up one day, like I did, and say, what happened to me? And it's too late, then what's it all for? Nothing. Your money needs to go back to saving yourself.
Yeah. And I just got to chime in here, because there is no proof like actual proof. And in marketing, we always talking about social proof. Well, let me give you my social proof, because I was that guy before I started working with you, Mike, who would go to the doctor and he would say, I need to see you 3 months from now. I need to see you 3 months from now. I need to see you 3 months from now. We got to monitor your cholesterol. We got to monitor your high blood pressure. We got to monitor these things every 3 months. When he saw me the last time, he said, what have you been doing? Nice. And he said, okay, so 2 times ago, okay, I don't need to see you for 6 months. You're doing better. Keep doing what you're doing. And I told him we were really paying attention. I was doing some fasting, whatever. He said, keep it up. I went to see him a few months ago. He said, you're doing amazing. You're doing great. I don't need to see you for a year. Now, this is a decade of every 3 months, and then finally 6 months. And then after the 6 months, I don't need to see you for a year. This is legit. This is like a game changer. It's hard for me not to get super excited about this, because literally after 60 was when my health got better, because I started applying these principles that we are talking about. And my doctor, there is no more proof than that. I don't need to see you for a year. Keep doing what you're doing.
Wow.
Right? I mean,
that was a perfect segue from what I just went through. That's a great case study. and congratulations. And I see the change in you too. The slimmer face, the more energy,
it's like, it doesn't have to be this way.
Yeah. Thank you. Good segue. But so I just want to wrap up with a few things, because I didn't want this to be doom and gloom, but I wanted to share this with everybody with some context. And again, knowledge and information are powerful, but only a few things matter in your diet and your health. And I just want to share a few tips. This is just like a scratch of nothing. There's so many more things, but there's basic things that you can start to do when you hang up from this. It's like, try some of these things. Basically, don't buy anything in a box, package, or a bag, no matter what the label says, because it's trying to trick you. Think about your food choices. Step back from it and say, do I want to get this Starbucks with all these whipped cream and whatever on it? Surround yourself with good food. Really try, and it's a process. Here's what I really love to change your default environment. My wife and I love cooking at home. We cook we probably go out once or twice a month is all, but we cook every night. We turn the music on, we decide what we're making, we dance around the kitchen, and then we eat a beautiful meal together. People need to start doing that more, enjoying their family, sit down with the kids, cooking meals, get the kids involved, get everybody involved. I mean, it's such a great thing. And really, how more basic can this be? Just get up and walk. Take a dang walk. Set the bar so low of a goal that you can do it no matter what. I'm gonna walk for 10 minutes. Start, no matter where you are, start with lowering that bar that low that you can do it. Please cut out most fast food. I'm not saying you have to stop at all, because that's okay. You don't have to be 100% perfect all the time and get the results that I've gotten or that Ridgely's gotten. This is really key. Good protein is essential for our bodies to regulate everything. All the amino acids, good protein, really, really lean, good proteins. I do a lot of really great shakes as Ridgely does, and really lean meat and fish and chicken and some steak. So this is really interesting. Fat has been made to seem like the devil. We need fat. We need good fat. I mean, and if you think about, so like olive oil and avocados are incredible. The brain is 60% fat and 20% cholesterol. You need good fat. You really do. I mean, and this is true too, from a dietary and weight gain standpoint. Good fat has no bearing on that. If you're eating too many bad fats, that's going to have an impact. But if you're eating good fats at the right recommendations, it's super healthy, and it contributes to weight loss, the reduction of these symptoms or these different chronic diseases. And I guess that's, as I'm thinking of that, if you're on prescriptions, I'm not saying to get off of them. You got to talk to your doctor. But what I did every step of the way for the things I was doing was going back to the doctor like you did. And same thing. What are you doing? What are you doing? To the point, finally, she's like, I don't want you on these anymore. And I was like, awesome. So, and I did it all through the things we're talking about.
Well, it's so many myths are out there, Mike. And I think one of the things that's so great about this particular program is busting many of those myths. And one of the ones, if you don't eat, you're not going to have energy. Are you kidding? I have tons of energy when I'm fasting. I end my day and a half fast, 40-hour fast, going to a hot yoga class. And usually I'm riding my bike 2 miles to get there, 2 miles to come home, and feeling amazing. Why? Because the right food was in the system in the first place. In other words, the functional medicine principle is all about, yes, this is, if you're on a river, here's where you are on the river right now. But what you got to go is way upstream to figure out what it was that got you to this spot right here, including how overweight are you? How many medications are you taking? What bad foods are you continuing to eat? What habits have you built for yourself, as opposed to stopping and stepping back? And again, for the Groove community, we want to be in great shape because we have a big mission to change the world through Groove. And obviously build your body like a business. Hit the button below and go get that. Is built on Groove. It is a Groove product. So by default, you're a Groovester too, Mike.
I am.
Yeah. And I'm just hoping that the people that watch this can at least take a minute to step back and do a little bit of self-reflection, a little bit of self-analysis. If you get the program, there's tools to help you do that. And like I said, it's free. It's a gift from Mike. And really ask yourself a few hard questions. Be honest with yourself. You don't have to lie to you. Where are you? What would it be like if you built your body like a business and took care of yourself like you take care of your business? What would happen to your health? What would happen to your life, loved ones? What would happen to how much more you could do with the people you care about, with your Groove business, et cetera? I mean, the benefits are just endless if people just start. So give us a few last words of encouragement, Mike.
The encouragement is it's never too late. And you can always start, you can always see the results, you can always get support, do it with a friend, do it with a spouse. But I really believe that once you realize and start to feel the change in getting healthier and fit, it's a game changer. You can do everything better. You feel confident in everything. And it's just, again, it's the slow plague is that you don't realize it's happening, right? But it's happening, and it's probably happening to, it's happening to millions of people. So the wake up is the plague doesn't have to continue. You have choices, and now you have a little bit of information and a little bit of knowledge to consider and think about. And I hope everybody takes some action, whether it's a lot or a little, but something.
Yeah. And I just want to say, obviously, I am very, very invested in this program because of what it did for my life. And I really hope that maybe Groovesters, we've been together for a while now, that you can get that weight. If Mike did it first and then Ridgely followed Mike and Ridgely got the same kind of results, maybe I could follow Mike too and find out what it means to build my body like a business. So like I said, click on the button below, get the program for yourself. It's free. There are some enhancements to it. If you want to do that too, that's cool. And take a chance on you. Take a chance on what might be possible for you if you really get in great shape. Mike, I just want to say thank you so much, man. Thank you on behalf of the Groove community. Thank you personally for what you've done for me. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. And I know the Groove community does too. Thank you very much for helping us all become a little bit healthier.
Thank you, Ridgely. It's been my pleasure.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time on the next Groove Growth Program. Groovesters, go out there and turn yourself from a Groovester into a Groove Star. I'm Ridgely, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.